Hello, my name is Martin Jönsson. I'm the CEO of Alzecure Pharma. I'm here to present to you the company, what we focus on, our pipeline, the science we build our projects on, and also the progress we have had and goals we have for 2022. If you look at Alzecure Pharma, we are a company who are focusing on Alzheimer's disease and pain, a huge market with a huge unmet medical need. We were founded in 2016 as a commercial company, but you can see us as a spin-off from AstraZeneca because the company was founded by researchers from AstraZeneca who worked on Alzheimer's disease and pain. And when AstraZeneca left the space in 2012, they, together with Professor Bengt Wingdahl at Karolinska Institute, the Swedish Alzheimer's Fund, founded Alzecure first as a research foundation. And we are a very experienced team with people who can manage already from early drug discovery in developing molecules, drive them through preclinical work and into development, and also commercialization. And then we are also working very much with academia and various key opinion leaders. We are based at Karolinska Institute in Stockholm. And we drive our project based on in small molecules, and we have three different research platforms. We have one which is NeuroRestore, which is a novel first-in-class symptomatic treatment for cognitive disorders, where we focus on Alzheimer's disease, but where we see multiple other indications connected to cognitive disorders. And then we have Alzstatin, which is a preventive disease-modifying treatment against Alzheimer's disease to see to it that people do not develop Alzheimer's disease or delay the disease progression. And then we have Painless, where we have multiple pain programs. We are listed here in Stockholm at Nasdaq First North Premier Growth Market. We have a market cap currently on around 150 million Swedish crowns and a cash position of 67, and we did a rights issue in March, filling out the liquidity. If you look at our business model, we are truly a research and development company. Our ambition is to drive our programs up to early clinical phase and then to out-license or partner on our project. But we are open to out-license projects earlier than early clinical phase, and we put a lot of effort into business development, especially now as we have several programs in clinical phase. And the programs we are running are on small molecules. And why have we chosen to only work with small molecules? This is because based on our programs, we increase the likelihood of success utilizing small molecules. And if you compare small molecules to biologics, you can see from this picture that biologics is much bigger. And the reason why small molecules are more increasing our likelihood of success is that our targets are in the brain, and to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, you have a higher likelihood to do that with small molecules. The pipeline we have of small molecule programs consists of 6 programs, which are organized into 3 different platforms. And in NeuroRestore, against cognitive disorders with a focus on Alzheimer's disease, we have one program which is in clinical phase, where we have a readout coming up this summer. We are very excited about that. And then we have Alzstatin, where we are in preclinical phase, have 2 programs there, came with a new molecule now here this early spring, which we presented on. And then we have Painless, where we have 2 programs, ACD440 against neuropathic pain, which is in clinical phase and where we have 5 for a phase 2 study and where we are getting ready to start. And we are very excited about becoming a phase 2 company. And then we have Tracainam against osteoarthritis and severe pain condition, where we are in research phase, but already now have preclinical results, which looks very positive. Our primary focus as a company is Alzheimer's disease, and the cost for society are higher than both oncology and cardiovascular diseases together. And this is in a patient population which is expected to triple in the coming 30 years. And why is this? This is because we have an aging population with people living longer and longer. And as you live longer, the likelihood of developing Alzheimer's disease increases vastly. And if you look at Alzheimer's disease, it's a progressive and lethal disorder. And you can divide the disease up to two different phases. You have pre-symptomatic Alzheimer's, where the disease is building up during a time period of 10 to 20 years, where you don't experience what's happening in your brain. And what's happening, one of the theories is that there is a protein building up in your brain, breaking down your brain, and this through amyloid beta pathology and plaque. And today there are no therapies to prevent this development. Then you have symptomatic Alzheimer's, and this is in the phase where you have symptoms, which starts with speech problems, memory loss, and over time also functional problems. And here there are some drugs today, but they aren't very efficacious, a lot of side effects, and very many of the patients can't continue with the treatment. So also here is a huge unmet medical needs in both these areas. And the market for Alzheimer's drug is enormous. We know that there came an antibody which was approved last year, and if only 5% of the patients only in the US were treated with this drug as it was priced initially, it would have sales of $17 million, and this truly shows the huge potential in this market. And if you look at the progression of Alzheimer's, we have from a healthy brain into a brain that you see on the right, which is a mild Alzheimer's brain. And here you see how the brain is broken down when you have the symptoms of Alzheimer's. What we at Alzecure are working at is really to preserve the healthy brain and see to it that you don't come to the state where you get Alzheimer's and have a brain which is broken down or damaged, as you see here on the right. And how do we do this? We are working on two different Alzheimer's platforms, which are first-in-class properties and potential game changers. We have a disease-modifying preventive treatment under the name of Alzstatin, where we are targeting to reduce the production of the toxic amyloid beta, the proteins. And here we are developing an oral therapy. Then we have a symptomatic treatment to help individuals who have developed Alzheimer's, and this platform is called NeuroRestore. It's in clinical phase. And this drug is to improve the neural function, enhance your cognition. And also here we are developing an oral therapy. If we're going to look at Alzstatin and how Alzstatin is working, our disease-modifying treatment against Alzheimer's, we can look at Alzheimer's brain and its destruction. And this is through the formation of pathologic plaque, which is created through A-beta-42, a toxic protein. And this protein starts what is called the amyloid cascade. And on the pictures, you can see how plaque has built up in the brain and breaking down the nerve cells and damaging synapses. And if you look at how this is working and what's happening, it is that you have, as you see the circle in red, toxic amyloid beta-42 is cut out and going into the brain and forming bigger and bigger fragments, monomers, oligomers, protofibrils, and up to plaque. And what we are doing with Alzstatin is that we are focusing on A-beta-42 to decrease the production of these proteins. And we should see a movie explaining this.
In the cell membrane, there are many different proteins, one of which is APP. This protein is cleaved by specific enzymes into smaller peptides. In Alzheimer's disease, APP is initially generally cleaved by an enzyme called beta secretase. The second cleavage is made by an enzyme called gamma secretase, resulting in the release of a smaller fragment called beta amyloid. This protein has a tendency to clump together into larger aggregates, oligomers, which damage and interfere with the normal functioning of the nerve cells. Over time, large insoluble protein aggregates are formed in the brain, so-called amyloid plaques, which is a key hallmark of the disease. Alzecure's project Alzstatin prevents the formation of beta amyloid and reduces the buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. Alzstatin does this by modulating the gamma secretase so that the enzyme cleaves beta amyloid into shorter fragments that are not toxic to the cells, nor aggregate to form plaques.
So here you saw the animation about Alzstatin and how it works. If you look at Alzstatin, our disease modifier to prevent or delay disease progression, what we are focusing is on A-beta-42, which is thought to be the reason that you have this formation of toxic fragments and over time building up plaque. And A-beta-42 has the tendency to form these bigger fragments and plaque. And what we are doing with Alzstatin, which is a so-called gamma secretase modulator, it is that Alzstatin goes in and decreases the production of these toxic A-beta-42 with up to 50 to 60%. And also, as we've seen in experiments, creating fragments A-beta-37 and 38, which are actually thought now to be protected. And if we should look at the brain status that you initiate treatment now with regard to the antibodies, that brain that you have the indication for mild Alzheimer's disease is really broken down, very, very damaged. What we have with Alzstatin is that we have the intention to go in and treat the brain before it's damaged to identify the patients based on genetics and biomarkers. And if you should look at Alzstatin and ask yourself how we differentiate ourselves to antibodies, we would say that first of all, it's because it's a small molecule therapy, and small molecule have a higher likelihood to penetrate the blood-brain barrier to really come into the brain. We also develop an oral formulation so you can use it at home, so you don't need to go in to the hospital once a month or twice a month to get infusion. And also that it is a preventive treatment to be taken before the brain is heavily damaged. And also to have a treatment where you avoid side effects that you, for instance, have seen with the antibodies in the form of edema and micro bleedings. So this is Alzstatin, and a therapy we are very excited about. And we can also say that Alzstatin and the so-called gamma secretase modulators that Alzstatin is getting more and more limelight. Here is a recent publication where it's concluded that we conclude that a modulation of gamma secretase will be a new wave of Alzheimer's disease therapeutics. So this way of attacking Alzheimer's is getting more and more in focus. So let's go to our next platform, and that is NeuroRestore, a cognitive enhancer. And what NeuroRestore is doing is improving neural function and cognitive capabilities. And this is based on that we have developed molecules in-house, which are increasing the signaling of brain-derived neurotrophic factors and nerve growth factors, which we know are essential to the function of the brain. And based on preclinical experiments, we have shown how we can improve cognition and memory enhancement. And what's exciting with NeuroRestore is that we don't think that it's only Alzheimer's that we should be able to go in and treat. Also diseases where you have cognitive impairment, like in Alzheimer's disease, traumatic brain injury, sleep disorders, and potentially actually also maybe treating patients with depression. We see a big opportunity here. And if we should look at how NeuroRestore is working, NeuroRestore goes in and improves the ability for us to learn and also to store what we have learned, but also to help us knowledge is accessible. And what's från och med denna? Okej. Ja, men det är lugnt. Inga problem. Okej. Då ska jag bara gå tillbaka och så tar vi från början. Okay, if we look at NeuroRestore and how NeuroRestore is working as a cognitive enhancer, improving learning and memory ability, it goes in and improves our cognition, helps us to learn, and also helping to store what we've learned, and also have been shown to also help to remember. So we can bring out what we have learned before. So NeuroRestore is going in on all three of these cognitive stages in the formation of memory. What's very exciting about NeuroRestore is it's in ongoing clinical phase, phase 1 study. And we have a readout expected this summer, so in a couple of weeks or so. So we are very excited about this. Going to our second focus area, that is chronic pain. When it comes to chronic pain, chronic pain leads to suicide, and suicide is as common from chronic pain as from depression. And also, chronic pain is the most common cause of sick leaves, which is creating misery and high societal cost. And also, chronic pain has led to opioid crisis in the US. And based on all of this, we can truly say there's a huge need for more efficacious treatment for chronic pain. And we have two platforms against chronic pain. We have Tracainam, where we focus on osteoarthritis and severe pain conditions. Only on osteoarthritis, there are more than 300 million patients, and a patient group which is growing rapidly due to weight problems and also an aging population. And then we have neuropathic pain, where we have ACD440. And neuropathic pain, there are more than 600 million individuals suffering from neuropathic pain. And our project ACD440 is built on what was rewarded the Nobel Prize last year in medicine. And that went to Professor David Julius for his research and the development of knowledge around the receptor TRPV1, which is central for pain sensation. And what we have developed is a novel TRPV1 antagonist, and this program is in clinical phase. We have mode of action confirmed. We have strong scientific support for how we attack neuropathic pain with the TRPV1 antagonist. And also last year, we had a positive readout in our 1B study, where we got results on safety, tolerability, and efficacy. And we had a pre-IND with the FDA, and we got positive feedback from them. And we have filed for a phase 2 clinical trial study and are now preparing to start it. And when it comes to neuropathic pain, it's a fast-growing market since so many of the patients are not satisfied with their treatments. More than 80% of the patients treated on neuropathic pain say that they do not experience adequate pain relief. And about over 60% of neuropathic patients are receiving opioids during their patient journey in the US. So the market has a sales of around $11 billion and are expected to have a double-digit growth in the coming years, going up towards $25 billion. So a huge market. Our second pain project is Tracainam. And Tracainam is a non-opioid treatment of severe pain conditions. And Tracainam, we are focused on osteoarthritis. The validation for this project is strong. What Tracainam does, it goes in and reduces the NGF signaling. And this mode of action has been validated by the NGF antibodies, which showed a very, very good effect in pain, but they also had side effects. But here we have something where we think we can avoid the side effects. And this area of patients with osteoarthritis or lower back pain, it's huge. So we see blockbuster opportunities for this treatment. So how do we differentiate Tracainam? Tracainam has a selected mode of action versus anti-NGF antibodies, which also was affecting P75, which is thought to be the reason for the side effect. So here we hope and believe that we can achieve potent clinical efficacy, but improved side effects, develop an oral administration instead of injections or infusion, and also to create something which is not creating addiction, and in that way become attractive, and you can avoid opioids. If we should go in and look at the milestones and activities for 2022, our first milestone was to strengthen our finances, and that we did with a rights issue now in March with a positive outcome. We also intend to start our phase 2A study with painless ACD440 against neuropathic pain, and that plan is so far going according to plan. It looks positive with the positive feedback from the FDA. And also to have a readout on our clinical 1A MAD study for NeuroRestore ACD856 against Alzheimer's disease, and also that program is going well. And then we want to advance painless Tracainam towards clinical candidate, and also to progress Alzstatin, a new molecule ACD680 into preclinical safety testing. And if we look at why is Alzecure an interesting company to invest in, we would say it's because we target areas of huge unmet medical need. We do this with a strong team with extensive experience and track record. We have shown that we can develop molecules, take them into clinical trials like with NeuroRestore. We also have platforms of first-in-class properties and potential game changers. We also do parallel investment with several candidates with potent follow-up programs, so we are no one-trick pony. And we also are going for market with multi-billion dollar opportunities. So if we succeed with one of these programs, they can really generate a lot of sales. And then, especially now, we are evolving into a phase 2 company. So we are in a very, very interesting situation for the moment. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention.